Bonjour.
Bonjour. And hello. Welcome to Foreplay Matters. I am Madame Boku.
And I am Madame Wee.
And welcome to another edition of Foreplay Matters because
it matters.
Today's topic is
unrealistic expectations women have on men.
Okay, so let's get into it.
He should always want to have sex. I'm just going to jump in there because that is one of the expectations that I guess is unrealistic that I have with my lover, my man, my partner.
Yeah.
I expect you to always want to have sex every day.
So you know this is unrealistic.
Yeah, because you gotta go to work. You gotta go work and make money.
Right. You gotta live, you gotta eat.
Yeah, I guess you do. Sex is nourishment.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I guess it depends on whether or not it's unrealistic based on your partner and how you guys flow with each other.
Right.
Maybe you guys are just, little wild animals that you get it in all the time.
Well, are you compatible? I mean, are you sexually compatible? Because, you need to... And that's something that needs to come into when you're choosing your partner. Yes. When you're dating or you're getting to know someone, I mean, I feel you need to be sexually compatible.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, if you're one is hypersexual and the other is asexual, that's not going to work. If you have different levels of sex drive, that's not going to work because then at some point there's going to be a problem.
Right.
You know, so
you got to get into that part of it again, communication. But I guess, it'll show up real quick whether or not you guys are compatible, and that's a really important aspect of a relationship. Is what's your frequency level, what's your stamina versus your partner's.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And do you feel that judgment comes into play for a woman if she wants to have sex all the time? It's kind of like, men are so used to women. And I guess it can go both ways, but men are so used to women having that lack of sex drive, or because it's like, once you start having kids, and it's like you're busy, you're tired, women are tired all the time.
Yeah.
We're always pushing off. But what if we're the ones that's constantly initiating it? What if the woman's constantly initiating it? And then judgment comes into play.
Okay, so you hit on a really important thing there, is that I think that the misnomer is when a man doesn't want to have sex as often as a woman does, or vice versa, that there must be something going on in the relationship. Well, what's wrong? Well,
he should be wanting to have sex more than me.
Right. So if he doesn't, then does he have another woman? Is there something medically wrong?
Problem?
Right.
Is he gay?
Is he gay?
It's
okay. Just tell me.
Right. Again, communication. Communication is key. Like, let's have that conversation.
Right.
But that is an unrealistic expectation that women think that men want to have sex more.
Right.
Or they should be having sex more than me.
Right. I think that, there can be all kinds of, there could be emotional reasons, there can be, situations in the marriage or the relationship that can contribute to him not wanting to have sex as often either. So, that you have to be very tuned into what's going on in your relationship.
In your relationship, yeah. Because one of the main things about women, that if the finances aren't right, they shut down.
Yeah.
Men shut down.
Yeah.
It's like they have no desire whatsoever, and it's not you.
Right.
You're thinking
they're in their head.
Yeah. And it's not even about you.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to see what's going on. So if you're using that credit card and spending too much, and his sex drive goes down, you might want to cut up that credit card.
It's hard
if sex is important to you.
It's hard to know what it is, though. Unless you're actually having an in-depth conversation, maybe even therapy, to just get to the root of whatever the cause is, because there's always a root cause.
But that's where the unrealistic expectation comes from a woman, is expecting her man to want to have sex more than her. So it's kind of like you're not really getting into the man's head or thinking how he thinks to understand that he may not want to have sex because of certain things. And you need to have that conversation. And finances is one of the key things with men.
That's some of the best advice that I've ever gotten when I was married. I'm no longer married, but some of the best advice that I ever got was to just be mindful of finances and sex in a relationship, and that, you know, if one is off kilter, you know, it can really ruin a relationship.
Right.
And so, you know, you're spot on with that you have to be mindful of it. But if you're in a relationship with somebody and the sex is like super frequent and then it starts dwindling down, you know, how do you identify, well, what is it? Like what happened that has caused, you know, this lapse in, you know.
Well,
in sex?
hopefully you can be direct and ask.
Like
I mean,
you.
that's like me. You know, what is the problem? I mean,
Right.
because at the end of the day, you're not going to know what the problem is until the person says what the problem is.
Yeah.
If not, you could get it completely wrong, right?
Right. So
But what if finances isn't the problem?
that's true.
And it's like lack of sex and the frequency has gone down on both sides.
Yeah.
It's like, well, do you have another woman? Do you not desire me anymore?
Right.
You know, and you have to have
Or
that
what's going
conversation.
on with me? If,
Or what's going on with me?
Right.
But you also have to look at exactly. You
Yeah.
have to look at yourself and say, okay, what am I doing? Am I talking different? Am I dressing different? Am I doing something different? But I will say one thing about men, that if they're that desire or that attention is taken off of a woman, and then sometimes a woman can become depressed or whatever, but if she empowers herself,
Yeah.
and then she puts herself out there, men will come around because then they know that a woman's going to get attention from somebody else.
Right. Right.
You know,
This is true.
You know?
But I think also, you know, in just doing a temperature check on yourself, you know, if my libido starts to go down, I also have to check, you know, is it something medical? Is something going on, you know, with me psychologically? You talked about depression really quickly, but, you know, that could be it as well. And so we have to be really mindful about making sure that we're well, like just whole, you know, whole body wellness, your mental.
doing your self-care. And
Yeah, do
awareness.
your self-care, checking in, making sure that you know that everything is in working order, because one thing can throw everything else off, and you don't even know why you're not feeling sexually excited anymore. And so, you know, to just make sure that you're checking on yourself as well.
So then, I mean, if you have that conversation, you checked on yourself, and you're having that conversation with your partner, but you're not getting out, and there's no progress
Yeah.
to it, right? So when do you start to feel you should have that conversation of having an open marriage or an open relationship? I'm just gonna go there. I'm sorry.
You might be the one to have this conversation. Because, I think that if you're having relationship issues, I don't know whether or not offering up an open marriage is the first thing that you go to. Perhaps you might want to do that down the road. You know, you have to kind of do some self-inventory, do some couples inventory to make sure that you're even ready for something like that. You have to be so grounded and connected with your spouse or partner when you decide to delve into that aspect of, you know, a relationship. That is hardcore. You have to be G's to be in a open relationship, because you have emotions that are involved, and a lot of times people don't anticipate what comes with inviting somebody else into a relationship, inviting two other people. And if it's open, then open means I can do what I want to do, or, you know, you can do what you want to do, or does it? I don't know.
Right.
But I don't know whether or not that would be my first go-to. But Madam Wee, what do you think?
I mean, it depends on the number of years, but at some point you need to have that conversation. So, because a lot of people don't realize that human behavior and human connection is communal, period. So, you know, in our society, in American culture, it's like, oh no, you're supposed to man, woman, child, you know? But then when you get into other cultures and study other cultures, poly lifestyle and poly relationships are more common in other cultures because of arranged marriages and this, that, and the other, and having multiple wives, or not having multiple wives, but you know that because it was an arranged situation and it wasn't compatible, that you possibly have, you know, a mistress or another partner or so forth. So pretty much it's kind of like you didn't have that conversation of open marriage or open relationship, but it's a given. You know that it's a part of the culture that it's going to happen, and it's accepted. I think the only judgment that comes in is in the U.S.
Right.
Why is that? It's like, Lord, just put me on a plane, send me somewhere
I don't know.
else.
You know, I just came back from Africa, you know, about a month ago, and it's not uncommon for a man to have more than one wife. They subscribe to the philosophy that if he can afford it, then, you know, he can have, you know, as many wives as he...
And that's help.
How's it help?
I mean,
Get some extra hands
I
around
don't
the
like
household.
doing domestic stuff. Yeah, shoot, she can take on that role, and I can take on this role. Let's just assign our roles.
Yeah,
you know?
so
Make
it
my life a whole lot easier.
To your point, there are other cultures that it's quite normal.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, you know, is it normal for a woman to take on additional husbands? Now, I think you sent me something recently where there's this woman.
love, and I'm sure she will appreciate me giving her a shout out. Juju Mama, poly lifestyle, live in North Carolina, and she just took on hubby number 2.
Right.
I have you following her on Instagram.
Yes.
And she practices tantra. Her husband has multiple partners. She has multiple partners, and they just brought in the second husband into the house with, I want to say, his child, and they're creating community.
Right.
Community. It's creating a community.
This is community affairs to the nth power.
Wow, I love it. It's
But
like spread the love.
I brought her up because you mentioned that, you know, for some people they can make it work, you know. And
I would love to have her on and interview her
That would
to
be
talk about
awesome.
that, of how you make it work.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Judgment comes into play so much.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like you have to train your family and friends and the people around you.
That's the key
And you also have to
thing.
have thick skin.
Yeah.
Because you have to not care what
about
people
what
think.
people think.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Come on
Yeah.
the show, Juju. Mama.
Yes.
Okay, so we're getting back to expectations.
He should get hard immediately.
So let's talk about
I
it.
mean, I feel he should. If I rubbed his big butt up against I feel he should. But I guess that's an unrealistic
It's
expectation.
unrealistic to
you know, I'm
expect
thinking,
that.
what is wrong with you?
Right, and that's the judgment part. Like, if he doesn't get hard immediately, what's going on?
What's going on with him?
Are you sleeping with somebody else? Did you just finish fucking somebody else? Like, what's going on? Are you empty? Is it empty?
Or, you know, or are you not desiring me right now?
Right.
Or, you know, is my hair not right?
Right.
Am I not dressed
So
right?
we do a head job on ourselves, you know what I mean? And we start thinking that something is wrong with us, and it may not necessarily have anything to do with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's
It's like, women, get out of your head. What I say, just ask.
okay. This is a
being
good
a little
one.
too direct.
And this is a good one. I want to talk to you about it because you have a tantra practice, so we can talk about he should always orgasm. So is that an unrealistic expectation? I know through your practice that you teach how to delay that also. So, like, can we get into that?
You want to get into that?
I want to get into it.
Well, this is the thing. Orgasms happen all the time, and sometimes you don't even know it's happening. So, you know, because there could be different levels of orgasm.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about this in the
Peaks and
previous
valleys
peaks
and-
and valley orgasm. Right, exactly. And everything's not going to be explosive.
Yeah.
Because orgasm and ejaculation are two different things.
Okay, so
Yeah.
get into that part
Yeah.
because I don't think that most people understand
They
that there is a
connect
distinction.
it. They make
Yeah.
it seem like, oh, I didn't please him because he didn't have an orgasm or come or ejaculate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first of all, he could have had an orgasm.
Right,
And he didn't come,
right.
right? So that's where with Tantra, it's like teaching how to connect and get your breath right on one accord. It's kind of like you're becoming one. You're becoming connected. So you know, because you have that connection, it's all about the sexual energy.
Right.
Right? And so when that person has an orgasm, it's like you kind of feel it. Why is that? Because you're connected, so you're both feeling it.
Right.
Right?
There's energy exchange.
It's energy exchange,
Yeah.
exactly. Holding your seed, teaching a man the skills of Tantra to hold his seed takes practice.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because most men, scientifically, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to come within the first 5 to 6 minutes, whereas a woman ejaculate could take longer, preferably 20, 30 minutes.
That's a big gap.
It's a huge gap. It's like,
Which is why you got to do a little foreplay.
That's why you got to do foreplay.
To bridge the gap.
And you have to, because you're never going to be on the same page with regards to orgasm, ejaculate, any of that, because we're just two different species, you know?
So in terms of unrealistic expectations with a male orgasming, what if he doesn't? So now we get into our head.
Now you're in your head. Now you're like, oh.
Did you come?
I didn't
Why didn't you come?
Why? Oh, what's wrong? You know, it's
Right.
like, seriously, that's where we need to get out of ourselves, of also women. Learn how to teach your man to please you.
Yeah.
Because women tend to go into things because we're natural nurturers.
Right.
Right? We naturally do this. So we want to please our man before we please ourselves. So maybe we need to get a little more selfish, you know, and say, okay, tonight it's going to be about me.
I like that.
You like that? I like that too.
I like
you know?
that.
And then tomorrow, or you know what, the first hour is about me and the
Right.
second hour is about you.
Right.
So that we're both satisfied. But I definitely like, okay, whatever it is, I mean, again, communicate. People don't communicate with each other. So if we're doing this Tantra experience this evening, then in the morning, I got you.
Right.
Because morning sex is the best sex.
Oh, it is. I just miss it so much in my life. So another unrealistic expectation is he should know how to get me off. And I really feel strongly about this because how can he get you off if you don't know how to get you off? So
Well, I'm hoping you know how to get yourself off, but that goes back to masturbating and playing with yourself.
Right. So you
And
can't
women
be
don't
scared.
do it.
We don't do it. We don't look at ourselves like, take a mirror and go look.
What's down there? Say hello.
What is down there?
Right. Just do a session.
Make it wink.
Right. You know. Have a session about let's discover myself today, you know?
So I do think that that's unrealistic because
Put your finger up there. See how far your
how
finger
is he
can
gonna
go.
know what spot is the spot for you?
Right,
If
exactly.
you don't know, you know what I mean? Like, it's just putting too much pressure on him to figure that out. And I know
And that's
most
wrong.
men probably are like, I know how to do this backwards and forwards or whatever, but
You don't know my body.
you don't know. I'm new. You know her
And
body.
You know the body that
You
and she might not have been
You know
telling
the
you
body
the
you
truth.
bodied. Right?
But guess what? You might have thought you were doing something correctly.
That's another thing.
And she might have been faking it.
Talk about it.
So you thinking you can put it down, but now you have a new partner.
Right.
And women are structured different.
So,
Their vaginal canal can be short, long, thick, thin.
right.
Had a hysterectomy.
Right.
How do you
Right.
we gotta know how to handle these
And then we also
situations.
have situations where there's techniques that are just being done that are not necessarily techniques that I like. So, you know, I'm not big on fingering. I don't like it. And especially if you're less like relentless about it, like you're just going in like a jackhammer, like I'm gonna have a yeast infection and a UTI, I'm sure of it.
And have him wash his hands
Right?
before
No,
he goes
but all
over
of
there.
that, but still just don't punch my vagina. So that's all, you know, like he should know what he's doing. It's unrealistic for me if somebody is jackhammering me for me not to say to him, could you slow
Stop.
it down
Right,
or
slow it
stop,
down.
no, or do this,
Or
or I
if
like
you
it
are,
when you,
if you are fingering, then you direct
Yeah.
and say, "Did you just feel that?"
Right.
Women need to learn how to talk. Open
Right.
your mouth. Like, did you feel where
Right.
you were at? Didn't that feel a little different? Why
Right.
is that? Because it's a little rough there. It's a little whatever. Well, guess what? That's my G spot.
Yeah.
So then he now has felt it. You directed him,
Right.
so you're teaching him.
Let me
where
show
did
you
Let me
something.
show you something. Now, once you get in there and you stay there,
Right.
you gotta listen to my breath. You gotta listen to my moans, to my movement. That you actually have. You're there, but
Right.
you felt it. So you know the area, right?
Right.
But once you're in there, if you want to have a vaginal orgasm, then it's like you gotta also stay there.
Yeah.
And men don't realize that the friction, like you you have to, like, once you get it going and you get ready to climax, you can't slow down and stop.
Right.
Then all the sensation just went away, right? So now, that 20 minutes that it took you to try to get me to orgasm, add another 20 minutes on.
Right.
So now you got to work.
But I think you can encourage a guy or your partner. You can encourage them and say, you know, don't stop, or that right there, I love that. Like, keep doing that. Like,
Right.
like give them positive reinforcement. I like positive reinforcement as well. But to encourage them so they know that they're doing something right.
Right, exactly.
So you have, let's see, what else do we have going on here? Shouldn't be affected by performance pressure. Well, let's talk, what is this? So many women have personal experience with performance pressure. We seem to think that men are immune to these exact same fears and anxieties. So he wants to be like a stallion in the bed. So the expectation, unrealistic expectation, is that he's going to be putting it down every time.
Well, if you're going to be hyping yourself up and you coming in like a stallion and a caveman, like you know what you're doing.
So you don't think this is unrealistic?
No,
You said it.
You said it. So now let me see what you're gonna do. Now let me see what you got. You know, now the disappointment is if you don't live up to that expectation.
Yeah, totally.
So that's not unrealistic. It's like you should never set that bar so high, because
well, what do you do
when you don't meet that expectation because you didn't perform?
Right.
I mean, I guess it depends on the number of years you got in with somebody, because if it's a casual thing,
I was gonna say, what if it's somebody new?
If somebody new, bye. Boy,
Are
bye.
you finished?
Boy, bye.
Are you done? Are you done? Are you finished?
Know what? Because women have to ask themselves, do I even feel like teaching him something?
That's another thing. I think that it's a tough one, especially when it's somebody new. Whether or not do I want to invest the time?
Exactly.
Don't want to invest the time. Is it worth it? Do I like them like that? Or is this a one and done?
But if you're hyping yourself up, you better perform.
Yeah, well, sometimes guys get excited.
They do, and then it's like
you back that thing up on him, and he didn't know, he wasn't ready.
So if that is the case, would you give him a second chance? Just to see if maybe the nerves are now gone.
Maybe.
And it's like,
maybe.
Okay.
Like you said, like it depends on whether or not it's worth it. Like, did I really like this guy? Was it like a one night kind of thing?
Was it a stranger thing?
You know, was it a stranger
fantasy?
All right. Lock the door on your way out. Just pull it.
Okay, let me ask you this question. I'm sorry. I don't mean to digress. Only because my head is like do when it comes to talking about sex.
Mm-hmm.
So do you count?
Oh my God, I know exactly what you're about to say.
That sexual encounter when it's not good,
okay.
Does it count?
So now we're getting into bodies, right? Body count.
No, but this is unrealistic expectation. You didn't perform, and
so it doesn't count. It doesn't.
No, because
it
then
exist.
Well, yeah, it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
You know what? It all counts, but
it all counts.
It all counts, but
do you think women do that because of judgment?
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's like, oh, of course, and men. I mean, they were like, how many men have you slept with? A woman's not giving that number. I'm sorry.
No. No, you
that
never give that
number.
Ladies, look at me. Don't you tell the real number. Don't you do it. Don't you tell it.
And why is that?
Because
the judgment comes in.
Why
is the judgment not there on a man and he's putting it down and counting and have his little black book or whatever it is that he has?
I don't.
But then when a woman is doing the same thing,
I don't know.
Why is there judgment?
I don't know if there isn't judgment. I mean, if a guy gave me his real number, am I going to be in my head like, what? Like is he's ripping and running or whatever? I don't know.
You gonna be judging him?
I don't ask the question. Are we being safe right now? That's the question. Okay, so you have a condom? I have some. That's the question. I do not want to get into because don't ask me. Don't ask. Don't tell.
But that's us. That's us. So what about our viewers? The things the complex things that they're going through.
Do you tell your number? Do you look at me? Do you tell your number?
I'm saying most women probably don't. Now, men will probably brag about it.
Are women asking men how many people
and see, that's the thing. No, women do ask.
They do? Do you ask?
I don't.
Oh.
I don't care.
What women?
But women do ask.
Okay.
You
Do
know?
you really want to know?
I don't.
Right, but
I
I
really
mean in
don't
general,
wanna
just
know.
women. Do women really want to know the number?
I guess it depends
I
on
wonder.
the woman.
I wonder. Well, put it in the comments. Let us know if you really want to know that number and why you want to know the number. So, looking for it right below.
That's Secret Society life. Now, do you feel that another unrealistic expectation that women have of men is he should know how to get me off?
Yes, and I can go
Why
right
is
back to because do you
He's
know
a
how
man?
to get? Depends on the man. Like, was he bigging himself up? Did he talk a good game? So now I'm interested. I've had interactions where a guy's, he's talking all this game and he's just like, I can come, I can do this, I can do that, or whatever. And I'm just like, really?
Okay, that's performance. Okay, that's performance. We talk about performance, but I mean, get me off. Meaning that, like, if we're at the bar, we're not in the bedroom to get ready to perform, but we're doing some foreplay. And he should know how to get me off, meaning, like, kiss me on my ear.
At the bar?
Yeah, like nibble on my ear at the bar, or he leans in, or he may touch my back a certain way, or blow on me some kind of way.
Okay.
It's kind of, you should get
So
me
you're
off.
talking about mental stimulation.
Yeah, he should know how to get me off.
Right.
Women think men should always know how to get a woman off.
And is that realistic? I don't.
That's unrealistic.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that you can help him along by telling him what gets you off.
Right,
You
exactly.
can say, my little hot spot is right back here. Come in, see if you can.
And see, that's the thing, women. Women don't do that.
Well-
Women don't open. Women need the art of dirty talk. See, that's when
yes.
where you're like, because we're so aggressive where we communicate, right? But a lot of women,
But
they
there's
don't
judgment,
say
there's shame
anything.
in that also. You think that they're going to think something about you if you start dirty talking. They don't, a lot of women have a stigma about talking dirty in the bedroom. And oftentimes, it's really not that complicated. You can just talk about what it is that is happening right now. I like when you give it to me from the left side. I like it when you slap me on the ass. I don't. But I like when... or that feels good, or oh my goodness, like I can feel your breath on my neck and your breath is hot. I just, so just
You're
talking.
very detailed.
Thank you so much. I'm very good at dirty talk. I talk. But I think that you can certainly help a man along or your partner along by giving them cues to what it is that turns you on.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
Especially with foreplay, we're going to keep saying it. Communication is key. So what is your takeaway for this episode that we need to, or a tip?
Right.
What's the tip for?
I think that I just gave you one, a really good one, when you're dirty talking, that you talk through what you're feeling, what you're, can you feel me pulsating on you? Can you feel that right there? Can you talk it? And it is the details. The devil's in the details. And you just get into what is happening right now. I can feel your breath in my ear. I can, I love when you pull my hair like that.
Right.
Go harder or go softer, all of those things. Just being, detailed. If I'm going to give a tip for the day, that would be, to be detailed and let your partner know what it is that is turning you on. What about you? Do you have some tips?
Well,
for the class?
For this episode, as far as unrealistic expectations, and I said this before and I always say it, throw the expectations out the door.
Out the door.
Out the door. Out the window, out the door. There
Right.
should be no expectations. And why is that? Because when there's no expectations, then you achieve happiness, you achieve pleasure.
Yes.
You like that?
Namaste.
Yeah. So that's my takeaway. But, we want to thank our viewers
Yes,
for tuning
thank
in.
you, guys.
Definitely leave us some comments on the Instagram, Secret Society Life. Go to the website. You can get the podcast directly from our website at secretsociety.life. Just click on Foreplay Matters podcast, and you can view past episodes as well as our current one.
Like,
just wanna-
subscribe, share, tell a
Yes.
friend, watch it together, leave some comments, please, below. And that's it for now, I think. And we will see you soon.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
Every
What
time?
Wednesday at 7.
Very good.
7 p.m. on all of the outlets as well as all on the podcast outlets as well.
I can't wait to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.